The stream is live.
Yeah, we're live. Yay. Okay.
Hi, guys.
Let's see. Hey, everybody. Sure we have people coming in. Thank you guys for joining us. And we have no echo, right? You don't hear one?
No echo.
Okay, yay.
I'm just
Awesome.
joining the chat.
Yes, I see everybody coming
Apparently,
in.
I was not prepared. There we go. Let's see.
All right. So, hey.
Hey,
Hey,
guys.
AC. Thank you guys for joining us. So it's just 8 o'clock, and me and Magda were thinking, just to kick things off, this is going to be like a market recap, but we thought we would share our current whips and then have you guys share in the chat what you're working on. So I already gave you a sneak peek of mine. So do you want to go first?
Yes, and I also think we should introduce ourselves.
Oh, yeah, that too. That's important.
So
We were
I'm
just
gonna
talking.
let you introduce yourself first because this is on your
Okay.
channel, and then I'll go and then I'll show my whip.
Perfect. Sounds good. Okay. So yes, hi guys, this is Shannon. As you know, I have a crochet company called Case and Crochet. For those of you that don't know me, maybe you're coming over here from Magda's channel. I work full-time in nonprofit communications. I also have 2 young kids that are 2 and 4, and you'll occasionally see the back of their heads on videos doing things. Yeah, my next video will have us playing in the snow today because we got 6 inches. Yeah. I live in New England, and I'm so excited to have you guys here. Me and Magda met through our market prep chat that is now just like a chat between all of us. So we call each other our crochet besties because we just talk all the time. But yeah, that's a little bit about me. You share a little bit about yourself now.
Yes, good evening, everyone. My name is Magda, the maker and creator behind Rose and Dove, which you can find me over here on YouTube, which is at Rose and Dove YT, or over on Instagram at Rose and Dove _. And I share what I make in this journey with starting a crochet small business. And I am so grateful to have met Shannon. She is my crochet bestie, and she's such an encouragement to me. And I'm so grateful we get to come on here and stream again. I will hint at something we're going to be talking about later, which is our goals for next year. And one of my goals is that Shannon and I continue to live stream. I actually wrote it down. It is here. So Shannon, I just put you on the spot, but this is my proposal to you. Will you please continue to live stream with me?
Yes, I'm down. I'm so down.
Yay! And I also have recently started working full time again at a nonprofit. So that's another thing Shannon and I have in common. And I have 2 dogs, Frankie and Darla, which you guys get to see a lot in my videos and over on my Instagram stories. And I love to crochet and build community with you guys. So I'm so happy for all of you joining us today.
Yay, thank you. All right, so yeah, let's jump into our whips and what we're working on. And if you guys are working on something while you're, a peekaboo. If you guys are working on something as you're watching, or just share whatever whip you have going on right now, like pop it in the chat because we'd love to know what you're working on.
Yes, so I actually finished my current whip, which you guys get to see him before he even debuts on my Instagram or in one of my videos. This is Big Bear by Neutral Knots, and it is going to be releasing on the 1st of January, so keep your eyes peeled. And Shannon and I both get to test it, which is amazing. How many have you made, Shannon?
I've made 3.
There you go. She's been busting them out. But I went ahead and finished mine today. So he's worked up in Bernat baby blanket frosting in the, oh my gosh, why am I drawing a blank? Like the newsprint cover?
Sunday Times.
Excellent. 20 points for Shannon. Okay. He is worked up in Sunday Times by Bernat blanket, baby blanket frosting, and a 6mm hook I sized down because that yarn is a lot thinner. And I'm honestly, you guys, like, he's gonna be a staple for you in 2026. He's gonna be a staple for me. He has that classic teddy bear look. I love him. I cannot express it enough. I don't know. I think Shannon
Yeah.
feels the same.
And even though he's big, I love about like just his patterns is like they're classic. So they
Mhm.
are also like kind of simple. So like doing all the rounds of his like belly, it's just kind of like it was like relaxing to make him. I didn't feel
Yes,
like he took a long time, even
he
though he's a
didn't.
big make. Yeah, I love him.
When I started working on him, I think I had done you do like the tail, the ears, the arms, and one leg. I had done that in like less than like maybe an hour and 20 minutes. And so I just finished him today once I was able to sit down and crochet. So I really like him, and I'd be interested to see him if you wanted to make him more of like a mid size, maybe a parfait chunky. You
Mhm.
could kind of size him down, or a posh even smaller, because I do think that his legs, there's just something about him that is a little bit different than regular Junior Bear. Like, she did a little something different, and I really like it.
Yeah, his legs are very chunky. I love
Yes.
it.
And then my only other whip is, which I shared in my upload today, which you guys got to see. This is from Creative Crochet Corner. It is a free pattern, and I saw it over on Balani Knots. I've been working on some fingerless mitts for my mom, and so this is what I've got going on in that texture. I just love it so much.
I love that stitch texture. That is gorgeous.
Once you get in the flow, it's like pretty monotonous. So although there are like different, like, it's not just a straight like one row repeat, but once you get in the flow, you're able to pick it up, and so it is pretty relaxing.
That's so pretty.
Yes.
Marcy asks if the nose is embroidered on
Yes. Yes,
Big
the
Bear.
nose is embroidered, and Jess will include that in the pattern. She tells you exactly where to insert your hook and how high to go for you to embroider the nose. And this is in taupe from Burnout Blanket. I had just enough of it left to be able to do his nose because I felt like that color complemented the best.
It
And
does.
then, hey, it's Mel B joined us in the chat. She said she's driving home and will be there in 30 to 40 minutes, but she wanted to
We'll
say
be
hi.
here.
So, hey.
Yeah, we'll be here. And Mel is all the way over in Australia. So thank you for joining, Mel. Yeah. Me and Mel tested Neutral Knots Mini Bell Bunny together. So
Oh,
yeah. I so far, Mel, you get the award for coming the furthest. Okay, see you in a
Darlene.
bit,
Hey,
Mel. Hi,
Darlene. Thanks for
Darlene.
joining us from Oregon.
Yes, Darlene watches all of my videos. She's such a good fan. Darlene, if you're not already subscribed to Magda's channel, make sure you go over there. I think you would love her. I mean, I know you will, but
We'd love to have you. But Shannon, tell us your whips.
yes, I have two things going on right now. And again, it's midday there. Oh my gosh. It's 8 p.m. Eastern for me. And then it's 5 p.m. for you, right?
6.
6? Oh,
Yes.
6. You're 2 hours. Yeah.
I'm two
Okay.
hours behind you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I have two things going on right now. I am finishing up the
I love
Cozy
him.
Stitch Beaver. I forget his name, but I am going to be starting a new series on my channel as like a bonus video each week where I am crocheting through my pattern stash, and this is one of them. The one that I'm posting this upcoming week was hashtag influenced by Magda, so you have to wait to see what that is, but this is going a nice little sneak peek for you guys. This will be my one for next week. He needs his eyes, but he's really cute. There is a farm store by me that I sold in for their holiday market, and they have a family of beavers that live on their property, and they asked to see a beaver to consider selling it in their store. So I'm excited about that. Yeah. And I've had also some people ask me when I've posted makes with this brown yarn, because we all know we're all waiting for caramel from Premier. This is Mainstays from Walmart. I think it's toffee, and then the dark one is, I think, chocolate also. It's fine. It's like a good while we wait for caramel. It's like a little
Yeah.
stiffer. It's still soft to the touch, but it's a little stiffer to work with. Like not as bad as taupe stiff, but definitely not super soft. So that's one thing I'm working on. Oh, hi, Amber. Thank you for joining us. Amber's in our market prep group.
Yes.
Thank you. Oh, I got in the test for Fergus the Frog too. That's what I was going to work on tonight. It's this cute little big old bullfrog. He's really cute. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. I can't wait to see yours, Amber. And then the next thing I'm working on is hatching animals. If you watch my videos, you know I make a lot of hatching animals, but um, somebody or a little girl brought in her hatching duck to daycare, and the daycare provider reached out to me and ordered 13 hatching ducks and
Okay.
then 2 hatching bunnies because the other little girl already has the duck and she has a brother. So I have 15 hatching animals to make. I have 4 completely completed and then 8 total ducks. So I'm
Okay.
getting there. So that's
Yeah.
my other ongoing whip. They're not due until mid-January, but
That was my question. I was gonna say, when is your deadline?
yeah, she ordered them at like the week before Christmas. So I've just been kind of working on them here and there so
Nice.
that I don't burn myself out on making eggs.
That was my next
So,
question. With all your
yeah.
hatching animals that you make, do you feel burned out with them, or are they just like that pattern that you could always make?
I feel like I could always make them. The eggs get a little repetitive, but they're not bad and they don't take super long. So whenever I also prep them for markets, like I kind of do them in between. Like I'm not a big batch prepper, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So like I've been like I did like a handful of the ducks and then a handful of
Mm-hmm.
the eggs. So I like switch on and off. So I personally don't mind them. And the eggs are like great if you're like actually trying to watch a show, you can
Yeah.
pay attention because you're just going around and around. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I was curious. And I'll be honest, I have things in my Etsy cart right now, and one of them was something that we were talking about in our market prep chat, which was the Green Frog Crochets hatching animals. Very influenced and inspired by you, Shannon, um to start working on them. And so I'm just like waiting to push the like purchase button, and then I think I want to make, instead of just the hatching chicks from Oak and Marlowe, which we will talk about in a bit, but I do think I want to expand my little like hatching animal selection because of the interactive factor of them.
Yeah, they're so good. I at markets, I always also point them out to people. And I mentioned like some people look at them and they think that the guys like don't come out. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, they come out of the egg. So it's also a great conversation starter with people,
Mm-hmm.
which is really nice. Oh, Jocelyn, I'm so glad I influenced you.
And that's
Um,
Jocelyn. I was gonna say Shannon from Not My First Rodeo. So
oh
we
my
love you.
gosh, yeah, we
Going to
love
join
you,
here. So super
Jocelyn.
glad you're here. We also have Abby from Fable and Fiber. Hey, Abby. And we have Amber, and I was just gonna pull up Amber's at because there's like so many crochet friends,
There,
and I don't have everyone's, but Amber's is at Amber_crochet creations.
yeah,
Lots
thank
of
you.
friends here.
Yes, lots of friends here. And yeah, Darlene, I use the hatching animals from KB Crafts and Crochet. If you go to like my last video, it's definitely linked in there. I was trying to pull up the link. She has like a hatching babies pack that comes with a duck, a platypus, a snake. I think both Amber and Jocelyn made the snake,
Ooh.
and a turtle.
Ooh.
And then she also sells them individually. I tested it, so I have the pack. I make the duck. I've made a couple snakes, which obviously boys love.
Mm-hmm.
But then Louis and Berg has a lot of hatching animals, and so does Green Frog Crochet. So there's a lot out there. Um, yeah, there's a lot that you can do. I also, with the egg from this pattern, I've made other things to put in here.
Mm-hmm.
So I have done a free dinosaur
Yeah.
pattern from Rose and Lily Amigurumi. Then there was that penguin, that free penguin pattern that
Yes.
you found.
Mm-hmm.
I did that in here too. I added one round for height.
Okay.
So also like once you get an egg that you like, you can kind of experiment with other
Very
free small
customizable.
patterns to put in here. So
Mm-hmm. I love
yeah.
that. So you guys need to have your pen and paper ready because we're going to be sharing all the patterns today. And we have Andy from Avery Crafts a Lot. It's so glad to have you here, Andy. What I was gonna say was we have a lot in plan or in store for you guys. We're gonna briefly recap our last market, and then we're gonna talk all things market logistics, the markets we've attended, profits, would we return or not, our best sellers, and I did some little like research and data gathering off of Instagram, and we've had some of our friends share with us their market best sellers or their favorite market makes, our lessons learned, our tips, and our goals for next year, as well as a few more questions that we got submitted over on my Instagram story. So we have a lot in store over the next 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So tell me where you want to start, Shannon.
Oh man, I think we should maybe just start with sharing like about like what we did for markets this year, since like it was both our that's my mom, Caravan. Hi mom, thanks for
Hi,
joining.
Shannon's mom. Shannon's mom, I love your daughter.
Always the biggest fan. Maybe we talk about like just like starting into markets, like what made us do it, like what did we do this year, and like that sort of thing, so people know like what we kind of dove into, and then we can get into like the rest of the details. How's that sound?
I love it.
Yeah. Okay. And guys, if you have questions as we're sharing, like more specifics or something that we shared, make sure to pop it in the comments and we'll address it. So
yeah. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
You're such a gentle lady. But yeah, so I started doing markets because I was influenced by other makers on YouTube. I've shared on my channel before, like I've been a big YouTube watcher for a long time. And when I started Rose and Dove was actually March of this year was when I like rebranded my little crochet Instagram from making I would make like worsted weight stuff and worsted weight amigurumi, and I got into the plushie making a few months after that because I rebranded my Instagram in March. I think by May I had launched my Etsy shop, which that just took like a lot of like courage and bravery, and I decided I was going to do markets. So in the summer was when I decided to do markets, and then I did 4 this year, 2 at a like farmers market in a town like 20 minutes away from me, and then I did 1 in November, which was a big like almost all day market at a high school at a craft fair. And then I did 1, my most recent one, which was December 6th at my church, which was a Christmas show that was only 3 hours from 9 to noon, and I made over $1,000 at that market. So that was my shortest market and my best market, which was amazing. And so those are the 4 markets that I did: 2 at a farmer's market, 1 big craft show at a school, and 1 craft show at a church.
Amazing. Amazing. You did it right, because I think I bit off a little bit more than I could chew. I get like very ambitious.
I do
So
too.
I
You
did
have my list that I talk about all the time. My lists
Yeah,
are always very ambitious.
that's so true. That's so true. So I did my first market of the year in March, and if you've gone all the way back on my videos, you will see it was a bust. You went all the way
I
back.
didn't remember that, but I have watched all your videos.
Okay, that's like all the way back in March. It was like a 6-hour market. I think I made like 2 sales. I did it with my sister-in-law, so we got to sit and chat and crochet all day without our kids. So it was still a win. But that taught me a lot of what to look for. It was like in like an Elks Club in an area of town where there's not a lot of walking traffic. They honestly didn't advertise it a lot. So it taught me a lot of lessons as to what to look for in markets. Then I did 3 or 4 over the summer. And then I did like 6 or 7 in this like holiday season. It was so many. I'll say out of all of those, 2 of those other ones didn't go so great. And I learned lessons from them and what the event structure was, and again, what to look for. And all of the events, they kind of differed. I did events at a winery. I did them at an apple orchard. I've done them at breweries. I've done them at a grocery store. That was my best market that I ever did, was at a grocery store, because people are going grocery shopping anyways, right? On a Sunday, like after church or after brunch. Shopping. Yeah. It's perfect grocery shopping time. So there are people that came for the event, but then there are people that were just grocery shopping. So that was my best market ever. And then, I had a really busy market season between September and December. And I definitely have some lessons learned from that. I think maybe Amber was talking about this in our chat, but like I learned that fall markets in September are just not where it's at. So that's helped me think of my goals and like prioritize for next year.
Yeah, all of it was a lesson learned, but you definitely amazed me with how many markets you did this year. One of the big things that held me back, and I would love, and we've talked about it in the chat before and on our videos, but one of the things that held me back was in Colorado, these market fees have been so high, the booth fees, where I see people, and I know Shannon, you've experienced them, where with like such low booth fees, and people have shared online they have had such low booth fees, but all of my markets were the two that I did at the farmers market. It was $100 initial fee and then a $30 fee each market. So that was a total of what, $160 across two markets, which dude, that's like $80, right? Then my other two markets were also $100 booth fees. So that was also something that I was being mindful of, and that also held me back from going to different markets, because the bigger markets were actually like they would be 150, 200, 220. Like these booth fees were outrageous, whereas I've seen other people, and Shannon talked to us about your booth fees, that have had like $50 booth fees, $40 booth fees, a free market, and that just wasn't my experience.
Yeah, I am that opposite end of the spectrum. So that grocery store one was completely free, which was amazing. I think the most expensive market that I did was a $75 booth fee, and it was the furthest I drove. It was an hour away, but I'd say on average my booth fees are between $35 and $50 where I
Wow.
live. So it is very different. I live in Western Massachusetts. I do live in like more of like a college town. It's like weird. I live in a farm town next to a college town. So I would have probably expected some of our vendor fees to be higher. There are some higher ones for larger events. Like my area is really well known for asparagus, and every summer we have an
Ooh.
asparagus festival, and I think that one's like $200. And I thank goodness didn't sign up this year because it was the first year ever that it got rained out. So that would have
Oh,
been really
wow.
sad. Like, and that's
Mhm.
like an 8-hour event. It's really
Yeah.
long. So yeah, mine are definitely on the lower end. And guys in the chat, if you do markets, please share with us like
Yeah.
what the typical cost is, because that can be like really intimidating to make
Mhm.
that upfront investment and
Yeah.
not knowing what it's going to be like. And of course, then there's that time investment in
Mhm.
preparing all of your makes and then being there for several hours, on your weekend or whatever. So,
Yeah, definitely let us know, because I think it's also really good for us to kind of get like a little bit of a temperature on market fees based on areas. And then you're informing people that may live in a similar area to you, oh, this is more attainable, or okay, I need to be more picky and choosy with my markets because they are going to cost a little bit more, like me in the Colorado, like Denver area. So I think that's really important that we share that and we can be mindful of that so we can make informed decisions.
yeah. And I have learned that there are times where a higher market fee does translate to better advertising, but
Mhm.
there have also been times where a higher market fee has not. So I think that's also like where that research comes into play of, of course, talking to other vendors when you can, but I also do like a lot of Facebook sleuthing, right? I look at
Mhm.
like past event
Yeah.
pictures and stuff like that to kind of see like what the vibe is like, and also see like past posts that they did on
Mhm.
their Facebook or whatever, just to make sure that you're paying the fee because they're putting on the event, but you're also hoping that they're going to turn that investment around into promoting it and helping to bring people in. And I think we have a role in that too as the vendors, right? Like we should be promoting it too, but like part of the fee is should go to that. Yeah. Hi, Dragonards. Thank you so much for joining us. All right.
Yeah.
So Amber said she lives in rural Iowa. They're usually 40 to 75, and bigger markets are 100. So yeah, that's kind of like similar to where I live. It is
Yeah.
more around there. Like mine were 35 to 75 this year, and the bigger ones that I didn't do were around that 100 to $200 range. So,
Definitely. And what you had said previously, Shannon, was I felt like a good segue into like cost and location and whether we would go back or not. So, I will share of my four markets. So I learned a lot in this process, and everybody is different, because I also want to hear from you, Shannon, because you do a lot of outdoor markets and I feel like they do really well for you. But I learned for me, outdoor markets aren't something that I'm going to be prioritizing or looking for in 2026, because I have some different health issues going on, and it's just too much for me to set up and then be out there in the heat in the summer for that long. If my husband isn't able to come with me, it's really hard for me to be able to set up. And then our area in the summer gets, one, really windy, so we have to use very heavy like tent weights. And then two, I learned that our area in the summer it rains a lot. So my first market ever, I got like flooded, and it was so like such an emotional roller coaster. You guys can go back on my channel and watch that video. We did really well. It was I forget how long the market was. I can tell you guys, but it oh no, I didn't write that down, so I can't tell you guys. But it was maybe like a 4 or 5 hour market, and the first hour it completely rained. Everything flooded. We were in the dirt where that farmer's market was. Things got like stained and messy, but I still walked away with like 500 and something dollars. So it was still $100 an hour, but was it worth like all that trauma and all that like experience of that? Not so much. And then the following market, which was with the same group, but like a month later, it got really, I think the weather was fine, but then it was after the kids went to school. So my sales, I only made like $200 or $300 in that market. I'm lying. I made $152 at the same market. So like those I take into consideration. So when I think about going into the markets for 2026, summer markets are not on my radar. Outdoor markets are not on my radar. What about you, Shannon? And hi, Christina. We're happy to have you.
Yeah. Guys, if you don't know Christina, she's the designer behind CC Handmade Hugs, and her patterns are some of my top favorites. You hear me talk about them a lot. And I know Magda has made a lot of her patterns too. So if you haven't yet checked out Christina at CC Handmade Hugs, her nickname is Teeny. You definitely should. I actually have to make another Stevie Chicks in fuzzy yarn. I made one for my littlest. I shared it on my Instagram. It'll be in my next video. And somebody messaged me and was like, I need one. So it's a really cute pattern. That is next up on my list.
And she's such a sweet and genuine person. That's what is so amazing. And I think we've really just uncovered that in the crochet community. There's just sweet, genuine, kind people. So I've actually been very influenced by Shannon. And right now on my Etsy wish list is so many of Christina's patterns because I need to build my collection.
Yeah, the Teeny Zoo Crew. And I just did there was like a template on Instagram for your like your favorite makes of the year, and my top one is Eloise the Witch, which is just a cute doll pattern altogether. So yeah, anyways, sidetrack, but thanks for joining, Christina. Yeah, so here so here it's a lot of variable weather in New England. One thing I learned, I kind of alluded to this, is that I will not do fall markets in September. It's not fall in September. It was way too warm. People were not in like the Halloween mood yet. It's like way too early. I kind of like now makes me mad that like places advertise fall markets in September. It's not fall. My outdoor markets have done well, but we had a very rainy summer. So we had a lot of canceled markets. Luckily, none of mine were canceled, but there were a lot of times where like it stopped raining right before the market. And luckily it didn't deter people because people were ready to get out of their homes from like a rainy weekend. But it can just be unpredictable. And then to your point, Magda, it's a lot to set up by yourself. So one of my big tips is, you might not guess this by like me talking on here and making videos, but like I'm like an introverted extrovert or whatever it is. I'm really shy when it comes down to it. Like I'm not a person that will just like go walk up and talk to people. But I did make a lot of great vendor friends this year. And towards the fall, a couple of us who were all ladies, if there's guys here, no hate, but like we all go out on our own. We're bringing these tents and these tent weights, and we plan to do some events together so we could help each other set up. So that was really nice. So I think making vendor friends that you'd be like, oh, are you going to be there or whatever, so that you can help each other. One of my events, we were required to have like 200 pounds of weight because it can get windy there. It did not get windy at this particular market, and we had so much weight, but I was so grateful that I had vendor friends next to me so we could help each other, because it was a lot to like lug and carry. So It can really be variable. I think there are risks to outdoor events, but there
Mm-hmm.
are also benefits sometimes. So you just kind of have to weigh that for your area. And that's where vendor friends come in handy too,
Mm-hmm.
because between me and these girls that I became close with, we kind of share with each other our
Yeah.
experiences at the different venues. You get to load in close. Is there like
Mm-hmm.
a backup place to, if is there like a covered area for backup or whatever? Like that one grocery store market was my best market, and they had a backup place if it rained because they had like a covered
Oh,
area of their
nice.
parking lot. So I was less worried about that
Mm-hmm.
because I knew the show will go on no matter
Yeah.
what and we'll be covered and not have to worry about our products or whatever. So yeah, definitely lessons learned there, and making vendor friends when you can, it is really great.
Love that. And now tell us, Shannon, of the markets you've attended, are there some you're for sure going to go back to and some you're for sure not going to go back to?
Oh, yes, definitely. Oh my gosh. Obviously, that one that I said I had in March where I made like $100 and like I
Mhm.
think 2 sales all day. Um, Not gonna go back to that one. And I think the event organizers, they tried. Oh my
Hi,
gosh.
Crochet Pastor.
Hi. Thank you for joining us.
He was one of
Um,
your lucky winners, right? From your
yes, Chelsea.
giveaway. I
Yes.
saw that on your post.
Yes, she did win. She won a pattern from Dress at Neutral Knots. So thank you so
Ooh.
much for joining.
Yes.
And if you guys are just joining and you're working on something while you're watching, share
Let
your
us
whips
know.
in the
Mhm.
chat. So I'm not going to go back to that one. Um, so this is interesting. I'm going to share this one as my main one. So I did an event at a winery in May. It was a
Mhm.
Mother's Day event. And one of my vendor friends, she was doing it for the first time. She told me about it and we did it together. And it was my like second true market ever. I had one before it where I set up at like a local 5K. I wouldn't call that like a true market. So my second true market ever. And I made over $500 in
Mhm.
sales, and it was a 5-hour market, blew me away. And that was the day that it stopped raining right before the event. We
Yeah.
were setting up in the rain.
Okay.
So it was great. Then they had a fall market in September. So again,
Mhm.
not really fall, and it was my second worst market. There was a lot of people there, but there just weren't people shopping.
Mhm.
And I think all the vendors felt that way. Like it just was very slow across the board. So I don't think I'm going to go back to that venue, even though I had a very successful market there. The second one was not as successful. And I kind of felt like they missed the ball in
Mhm.
like advertising it as a vendor market. I think people weren't attending to
Yeah.
shop as opposed to the one in May, and I just wouldn't risk that again.
Mhm.
So that's my main lesson, is that like even though you do an event at one place and it's successful and then you do it again, like you might learn a lesson. And another lesson I learned from that, there was 12 vendors at the market
Okay.
and I was one of 2 crochet vendors, which I'm fine with
Yeah.
other crocheters being at markets, but when there's 12 vendors,
Too small of a ratio.
it's too small of a
Mhm.
ratio. It's not fair to either of us. And they didn't have us set up in spots. And we were supposed to be right next to each other. So again, like it's just not fair.
Yeah.
And we were different but similar enough where I think it impacted both of us. So I
Mhm.
was just kind of like, if you're not vetting, and I said something to the organizer.
Yeah.
He's like, well, they said that they were doing X, Y, and Z. I was like, well, if you're not vetting your vendors well enough, then this isn't worth my time.
Yeah.
So that's my main lesson learned of one that was actually really successful for one event and
Mhm.
not for the other, that I won't be returning to. I think a majority of the other ones and other venues I will be returning to again. And I'm eyeing a couple of different ones like the Asparagus Festival. I was intimidated to do it this year because it's like 8 hours long and it has like thousands of people attending. But I think I'm ready for that type of challenge. So
Yes, you've got
yeah.
one market season like under your arm
Yeah.
and you're ready to go.
Yeah. It'll be a lot of prep, but I think I'm ready for it. But
Yeah.
how about you?
I was thinking of like as you were sharing things that I've learned because I love how you're like tying in these lessons learned. So things that I learned, one is just like that personal preference of probably not doing outdoor markets for the reasons I named previously, right? The second one was in comparison in comparing the two farmers market events I did. The first one was in July. It was July 30th. That one had tons of kids where I made over $100 an hour while I was there, despite the flooding and the rain and everything, which was blew my mind. And what happened was the kids were the ones selling for me. One kid would come in, buy something, go get the other kid. And then before you knew it, it was so beautiful. All the children that were there had more than one plushie from me in my clear bags. You could see them. They were doing all my marketing, and it went so well. Returned, which was my second market there, which was 2 weeks later, not even 2 weeks later, it was August 13th. Kids were already back in school. I only made $150 at that same time over 5 hours. So you can see the difference. So something I learned was I needed be at places and at times where kids are going to be shopping, because we're getting a lot of those comments. I think maybe you've experienced it too, Shannon, of like, oh, well, I don't have children to give these to. I don't have babies to give these to. So I really want to make sure, although maybe when I design things, I have, oh, the mom that looks like this, who's going to be shopping for her nursery, that's going to buy this. But what it comes down to that I've learned is like kids are our best customers, at least from my experience. So I need to be mindful of, our kids going to be able to attend this event? This also was like a Wednesday in the middle of the week. And so even like my friends and family couldn't come out to support because they're like, I'm working, this doesn't work for me. So being mindful of not maybe not doing midweek markets. Then, similar to you with the like timing of things, my fall market, which was the day after Halloween, it was literally the next day. It was this very established event that historically has done so well for people. They've been around so many years at a big high school, and they like people just weren't shopping. People showed up, but not as many as we thought. With all the vendors that they had over like 100 and something vendors there, and I think I only ended up it ended up coming out to like maybe $50 an hour I made for like the 8 hours that I was there, 8 or 9 hours total. So 50 to it might have been closer to $60 an hour. So that wasn't worth it for me because it was all the time, all the effort. There were a ton of other crocheters there. I was blessed that they were all in the room behind me and I was in a different area. Um, but people would walk by, but they just weren't shopping. And so I think like similar to you, with the whole like September is not considered fall, I think probably don't do a market right after Halloween. People aren't in that day was not like a Christmas vibe. I don't think people were in that Christmas vibe yet. So I'm going to be looking for markets mid to end of November, beginning of December, because I think people are actually shopping at that time. Because my December 6th market, everyone was in the mood to shop. Everyone went to all the booths. They were shopping. It just did so well. So those are some lessons learned, I think, to keep in mind.
Yeah. And I think what you shared is also a great transition to another topic that we know is very popular from people, which is like market bestsellers. And my market bestsellers from earlier in the year were very different than my market bestsellers in the holiday time, because
Yep.
my more mid to larger range items sold in the holiday time, which makes sense because people are buying gifts. And then early in the year, they were more of my low to mid range sellers, because it's more so impulse buys or maybe a birthday present or something like that. Okay, so Crystalline's saying there's a market in January. Would that be an okay time? So I think that kind of plays into this. So when you're thinking of January through March, and especially January, February, where it's like pre-Easter and people aren't even shopping for like Easter presents or something yet, they're just coming off the holidays. So if I were to do a market in January or February, I would focus on my more low to mid cost makes, where they're maybe getting more impulse buys or something to give their grandchild because they're visiting them and have no big reason to give them a present or something like that. I would expect them to potentially be slower because people have already just done a lot of buying. But if you were to do something around then, I would focus on those lower to mid-range makes rather than the mid to high range ones, because people just made big purchases. So that would be my advice then. The earliest market I did was the March one. It did not go well. But then I did a May market and a June market that did great, which are middle of the year, not near a holiday at all.
Mm-hmm.
So So yeah, I think to transition to like market bestsellers, definitely earlier in the year, those like kind of more smaller impulse buy makes did much better. Um, I also had a $5 basket at all of my markets up until the end of this year. I just didn't have time for it. I was actually talking to Tori, who is Cross My Heart Stitching. She has
Mhm.
a YouTube channel and has a lot of great market advice. She's been doing
Mhm.
market for several years. I was talking to her. I was like, I really don't have time to make my $5 item. She said, I don't make anything under $10, if that, especially this time of year, and I didn't, and it didn't impact sales.
Mhm.
However, my off-season markets, where we're talking about
Yeah.
season being the holidays, I would still have a good amount of like more $8 to $10 makes. I make like mini whales and I make mini ducks and mini chickens because farm animals are popular by me. Like those are popular market items for people to just snatch up.
Mhm.
But when I'm talking about my holiday markets, you all know I love book buddies. I sold a lot of high priced book buddies. I also sold some more like I think, are they like the little Mama Made minis or like the
Yeah.
14-inch ones? It's so confusing
Mhm.
because I don't think that's
Yeah.
little.
That's
I
the
sold
little
one of
size, but it's
those,
mini, little, and then I don't know what the big size is, but
right? Gigantic. um, I sold like, $50 plus items
Mhm.
and stuff like that. I will say overall, across my markets, those interactive items were best sellers for me. The hatching animals I just started having in September, but every single market I either sold out or almost sold out or had to make more while I was there. Another great seller for me, which is also by KB Crafts and Crochet. I only had these at one market, but both of them sold. She has this beehive with bees that come out, and
Mhm.
I make them
Yeah.
rattles.
Mhm.
So those are really popular. And then the All From Jade caterpillar, the fidget
Yes.
caterpillar.
You make
I make it
rattles.
the Very Hungry caterpillar because I live by the Eric Carle Museum, but I also have made it just other pretty colors.
Mhm.
And those are really popular because people love that it's a fidget and like it's also a great conversation piece with
Yes.
people. So I think that's why they also sell well. So I would say that those are really good sellers for me. And then outside of that, Christina's Teeny Zoo Crew is a really good seller. All
Mhm.
of those from there, I've made a bunch of different ones. They're just such a good size and a good price point because you
Mhm.
can make them rather quickly and they're cute and they're still detailed. Um, uh, a lot of the neutral knots patterns, her mini patterns that came out towards the end of this year, I sold a ton of those at the end of this year. Again, they're at like the lower price point. Yeah. Amber, you reminded me of the bee pattern because you shared it in our group. And I was like, I haven't made those in a while. And I made two for one market and they both sold. People love them and they love the rattle inside. I actually had like a 12-year-old buy it because she loved it, even though it
I
had
love it.
rattles inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
And do you
yeah.
know the size of the beehive, Shannon? Jocelyn was asking.
Oh, so yes, so there's two sizes actually in the pattern. I don't know it off the
Mhm.
top of my head, but there's one that's like this and it fits like 2 to 3 bees, and then there's a bigger one that fits about 4 bees. So I do the smaller ones for my markets just because they're quicker, and I think the 2 bees is enough. But you can do the bigger one too, and it's relatively quick because it's just kind of a repeat around, and the bees are fast too.
Yeah.
And Crystalline, it's by KB Crafts and Crochet. I have my Etsy up now, so I can drop a link in there. So those are
Perfect.
really popular. Um,
Thank you, Jocelyn.
yeah, thank you. So those are really popular as well. But what were some of your popular makes that you had, Magda?
Very similar to what you shared in terms of I was going to expand on the thought of not doing $5 items moving forward. I did prioritize that in my first two markets and they didn't move as much as I thought they would. And then at my last market in December, I did a basket of like baby animals and they were all $10. So I had the baby bunnies from Theodore and Rose. It's a baby animal pack. It comes with bunnies and hamsters and a pig and mouse and I forget what else, but I specifically make the bunnies out of there. So I did those. I had the free penguins off of Instagram. And I had the baby otters, which is also a free pattern off Instagram from Chloe's Plushies. And those went like hotcakes. And it was nice. Like, I think just pick one basket and just make a handful of each. And I was set and it worked so well versus where I was doing 5 of this and 5 of that. It just wasn't working. And I also think it helps to curate that vibe that you're bringing and elevate your boutique, right? I want to start using that word boutique more when I describe my business, by not doing the $5 and having maybe your $8 or $10 items. But those 3 patterns that I shared, which were the baby penguins, which are free off of Instagram, the baby otters, also free off of Instagram by Chloe's Plushies, and the baby bunnies, I will be making again for sure. And I sold them all for $10. They're all a similar size. You can use scrap yarn. I really, really like them. Let's see, who else do we have in there? Everybody's talking. I'm
Yeah,
like, I love seeing
Jocelyn and
everyone talk
Chelsea
in
are
the
saying
chat.
hi.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
So that was something. The other thing I was going to share that sold well in my first 2 markets, but did not move at all in my last 2 markets, were the Maisie Ducks by Oak and Marlowe. I love the Maisie Ducks. I want to make them all the time, and they sold out at my first 2 markets, and then none sold at my November market, and only one sold at my December market. So that was something that was interesting. But I love to make them, and I'm gonna continue to make them. One thing I did notice was I made my ducks for my fall and Christmas market in like fun colors, and I had made more ducks in like duck yellow, like baby yellow in the earlier markets. And I'm curious if maybe like people just preferred the more natural colors versus the fun colors. Yes, that is the
Yeah,
Squishy Moo
Squishy
Moo's
Moo Moos.
penguin.
Okay. Yeah.
It
It's
is.
a
Thank
really
you so
cute little
much. Thank you so much.
penguin. Yeah.
That is it. And it works up so quick.
Um,
Um,
I had the same thing with Maisie Ducks. I had them sell out at 2 markets, and then my last market, I sold one. And I made them pretty much only in natural colors for my
mhm.
last 2 markets. And I had the same colors my last 2, and they sold out, and then I only sold one. So it can also be interesting, like, right, you kind of have to take like the broad swath of
Mhm.
like how things do, but like that can be like so interesting. You're like, everybody loves this. It's so hot. I'm gonna
Yep.
make a bunch of them, and then
And then nothing.
nothing moves. Yeah.
My husband said it was also like the time of year. He was like, "Are ducks really like a winter animal?" Like, and I was like, "Well, maybe that's your thought. Maybe you're right. You know, maybe you're onto something." Other things that sold well for me that I wanted to share with you guys in terms of top sellers, lazy cats, which everyone knows what are they called? Shannon, you brought them up earlier, the other cats that everyone makes.
Loaf cats.
Loaf cats, yes. Everyone knows like loaf cats and loaf cats do well, but I think legacy cats just have that little something extra that people love. Made 4 of them for my November market. 3 out of 4 sold, and people were asking for like specific colors in to like replicate their cats. And then I took the last cat to my December market, and that sold right away. So I love lazy cats. They have that little something extra. It's a great. I think I sold them for $15. No, $18. Actually sold them for $18, and they sold at that price. So I think it's a great like slightly higher price mid item, that are really easy, enjoyable to make, and do well. And then the last thing I was going to share, 2 more things actually. One thing I was going to share were the Cuddle Critters by Mama Makes Yarn. I make the mini size. When you purchase the pattern, she has the farm animal ones and the woodland animal ones up on her Etsy in different bundles. I add rattles to mine and make them rattles, and then embroider sleepy eyes on them so they're completely baby safe. And those do so well for me, and people love them. I make the mini size, not the large size. I think the mini size, you get a great bang for your buck. They work up so quick. They're really enjoyable to make, and I sell them for $15, and they sell really well. And the last thing I was going to share with you guys were the Hatching Chicks by Oak and Marlowe. Those did really well for me. At my last market, I had brought 6 of them, and 5 out of the 6 sold at $15. And my 6th one would have sold if I would have had a 7th, because that grandma had 2 grandbabies she wanted to buy for, and she couldn't buy one for one and not the other. Hey, Nicole from Cozy Crawly Corner, we're so happy to have you. I love to see all our friends in here. This just makes me so happy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I feel so loved. And the oak and marl egg, I think, is free on her blog, right? And then it's her mini chick pattern you have to purchase, but the egg itself, I think, is free on her blog.
Yes, I believe it is free on her blog. I just purchased the PDF because it's just easier for me to have. So the mini chick, I believe it only comes in the bundle with the big chicken and the little chicken, but it's totally worth it. And then you can get the egg free on her blog. And I batch made those in one afternoon. I just made all the chicks first, and I made all the eggs, and I added my fluff, and I embroidered the eyes on them. And so I really like them. I'd make them again. So those were
Yeah.
like some like different top sellers that I definitely wanted to share with you guys.
Yeah. And I was going to make one more comment about the $5 items. So I didn't have them at my last two markets, but like I had a couple and I had them in my bag and I used them as like little freebies to people.
Mm-hmm.
And you talked about that at your last market too, Magda. Like it wasn't even people who made purchases to me. Like I had one person who was like looking for an orange chicken and I didn't have one, but I had one of my $5 ones and I was like, I have this. Is this like the chicken you're looking for? And she's like, yeah, how much is that? I was like, nope, you just have it. And like she was like, you made my day.
I love it.
And then I had this other lady who she was already buying something, but told me this huge story about rescuing chickens and da 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 and nursing them back to health. I gave her one. So I think also sometimes having this little $5 makes too, just to have to give people and like bring that joy is so nice. It's something I'm going to continue to do because I just had so much fun like giving them to people and like bringing them that joy. So if you have $5 makes and maybe you make them for the beginning of the year, but then you don't have them at your winter markets, they're really fun to have like behind your table to like give a cute little kid who keeps coming to your booth or whatever it might be.
Because that will happen.
Yes, it
It's
will.
happened to me at like all my markets.
Yeah, exactly.
Before I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, and then I'll
No,
say.
you go. You're all
Okay.
good. You go.
I wanted us to also talk about like besides our market bestsellers. Hey Mel, welcome back. Besides our bestsellers, because we kind of talked about those smaller items, but I wanted us to talk a little bit about just our favorite patterns from 2025 that we made that might have been like a bigger item or a mid-sized to large item, higher price point, but that you really enjoyed or that sold really well for you. But before you tell us all your secrets, Shannon, I want to bring in our little market research from our friends over on Instagram and share with you guys some more of those patterns. So I had put up on my Instagram story what were some of your favorite patterns from 2025 for markets. So not specifically like that sold really well for them, but just their favorite patterns, because something Shannon and I have talked about and is another tip that we'd love to give to you guys is make what you love. Shannon is going to share a little bit more about that, but I'm a mood crocheter, so if I don't like it, I'm not gonna want to make it. Also, have a hard time like people like requesting like say family, oh, can you make that for me? If I'm not in the mood to make it, I'm just not gonna make it. But I think you should make what you love. Shannon, before I read the patterns, tell me your little stance on making what you love.
100%, right? Like, I'm pretty sure we all do this because we love to crochet. And when you're just not doing something that you love, I think it just takes the joy out of it. It can burn you out really quickly. So, Magda talked about loaf cats, and if you love making loaf cats, all the power to you, make all the loaf cats in the world. I personally don't love making loaf cats. I made some of the mini ones for a market and then like over my couple markets they sold and I just haven't made them again because I just didn't love making them and it's just not for me. And when I'm at markets with other crocheters and I know they have loaf cats, I say, hey, go to her table over there. She has loaf cats. Like it's not something I like to make. Oh my gosh, Chelsea, you're very right. But anyways, I think you should make what you love, not necessarily what's trending. And if somebody asks for it or you get a custom order for it and you feel like doing it and accepting it, great. But like, don't feel like you have to make something because it's the trend. When I make things that are the trend for my table, when I did earlier on in markets this year, they didn't sell because I wasn't selling them, right? Like when people were asking me for recommendations or whatever, like I wasn't bringing them up because I didn't love them and they took a long time to sell. That's how loaf cats were for me. Like the little kid here and little kid there would pick them up and buy them, but they weren't something I like directed people towards. But Magda, to your point, the Lazy Cats from Green Frog Crochet, and I like Noodles Kitten from
Oh, yes.
Peach Puff Patterns, Peach Puff Design, something like that. I like making those, and those sell really well for me. They've sold much better for me than the Loaf Cats do. So yes, okay. So everybody is agreeing with that, which I'm happy for, because we should not be just like making things to make them. But that is my take on that. But again, if you like making loaf cats, make your loaf cats. I'm not saying don't make loaf cats. I'm just saying don't force yourself to make something just because it's like the thing, you know?
Yeah.
Like same with like maple chickens. I like making maple chickens. They're quick. I live in a farm area. They sell for me, but don't just make them because people are making them. Some people have a hard time selling them. Make them because you enjoy making them. And if you don't, then find something else. Find a different chicken or a different pattern that fulfills that spot on your table or whatever it is.
I agree 100%. And that is the perfect segue to start thinking about. So Shannon can start brainstorming in her head what your favorite patterns were from 2025 that released in 2025 that you just really loved making. Let me tell you what some of our friends over on Instagram said. Amber, well, I'll start with her since she's here in the chat. From Amber underscore crochet underscore creation, shared her favorite pattern from 2025 was Green Frog Crochet's mermaid pattern, which after she sent that in, I had to go look at it. And I love Green Frog Crochet's dolls. They're so gorgeous. And so I love that someone was making those mermaids. So that was one of them. We have Nicole from Cozy Crawly Corner. She shared her Fable Babies or Chubble. I'm so tongue tied, guys. Fable Babies or Chubby Buddies. So Fable Babies are the new release from Oak and Marlowe. There's a mod pack that you can pick up over on her Etsy. In addition to, is it a mod or is it a whole nother pattern set? Shannon, remind me, because
It's a mod. You have to have her original Fable patterns to make the stuff in the pack. However, if you have I think it's Finn the bear, she has the mod for that for free on her blog. So if you have the bear and you want to try the baby, you could do that and then decide if you want to invest in the whole pack.
there we go. So that is a great way to get to figure out if you want to make Fable Babies. I have already picked up the pattern pack. I just haven't like made them yet. So that's why I was like, is it a mod? Is it not? So Fable Babies or Chubby Buddies, which are by the Cozy Stitch. We have Shannon, which she'll probably talk about again because she already mentioned it earlier, but her favorites from 2025 were the Teeny Zoo Crew from CC Handmade Hugs. We have Jules from Visible Strings, Visible underscore strings underscore, one of our super sweet friends. She shared the Fable collection, Cuddle Critters, and Hatching Chicks. Chai Collective Co. shared Todd and James, which is formerly Madeline Mako's Bun Bun and Friends collection, which when she had sent that in to me, I had to message her back and I was like, what are these? And she told me what they were. And so I went over to Madeline Mako's Etsy, now Todd and James, and it's like the Puddles, the duck, there's the little puppy. They all have like a similar body style and actually have a few of those patterns. So I was like, okay, cool. I already am one step ahead of the game. And then we have the underscore mellow underscore maker. She shared that her favorite patterns from 2025 were Palms and Posies Otis Otter. Always sells well for her and is so fun to make. And I actually picked up Otis Otter after being influenced by another maker and seeing their making the otter in Feels Like Bliss yarn. I featured it in my video that went live today. I'm gonna be trying that out because I just love the way it looked like and Feels Like Bliss. Before I pass the totem pole over to you, Shannon, favorite patterns for me for 2025. I honestly really loved making BK Crochet's Itty Basil Bear, and I loved looking at them in my booth. I think they have the cutest little face. They're a nice small make, and you can use up, different colored yarns, and it just has that cute little face that I just can't get over. In the same token, I really loved Itty Paw Puppy, and I made 4 when I tested them for her, and I sold 4, so that was really well. But I actually like making like the bigger makes, and so sometimes those don't like move as immediately, but pattern designers I really love, Raven and Jade, Oak and Marlowe, BK Crochet, to name a few, and those are, and Mama Made Minis. I didn't think I was going to love making those loveys as much as I do now, and so those are going to be like some staples in my collection like moving forward. And then there's the Hoodie Bear by Nooks Hooks. You guys know that's just like a comfort make for me because I use Posh Yarn and I love Posh Yarn so much. So those are some favorite patterns from me from 2025. What are yours, Shannon, as you manage the chat?
Oh my gosh, there's so much sharing in the
I
chat.
love
So
it.
I'm gonna share some of those first before
Go
I
for
go
it.
in because it's so great. And also, guys, you are so great and y'all are hanging out. Me and Magda decided we're gonna stay on for maybe at least a half an hour longer. We'll
Yeah.
see. Because I think this has been so wonderful. But okay, I'm gonna share a couple of the things from the chat. So we have the Dino Chubby Buddies, which I assume those are from the Cozy Stitch. So that was shared about the Bitty Kibbles from Raven Jade Co., which that is a cute pattern. I've made quite a few of those, and that's a nice size cat, and it's different than a loaf cat, which I think those are really nice too. A lot of agreement to the Fable Babies. I only made one so far, but it was really adorable. I actually made it in demi pearl, so it even made it a little bit bigger, which was nice. But they're a really good size and a good price point. Let's see, Nigel the Frog. So that's one that Mel mentioned. I've also seen Jenny from In My Spare Time make him, and it's kind of like an elevated leggy frog. Like he's kind of chubbier and cute. So I could totally see why those sell really well and good for markets too. Darlene talked about making axolotls, which is one item that I haven't made yet. And I feel like it would be really popular. Like my 4-year-old is obsessed with axolotls. I don't even know how he heard what an axolotl
They're
was.
trending with the
Um,
children, and I don't know why. I think I heard
it's
something about Minecraft.
yes,
Did they
it's in
talk
like
about
some
it on
video
Minecraft?
game. Yeah,
I don't know.
it's in some video game. Drift the Octopus, again, that's another one that Tori from Cross My Heart Stitching has talked about. I really want to make him. I think an octopus like that would do well
Mm-hmm.
by me. Let's see. And then we have Eddie Palin by BK Crochet, which I made Eddie Palin and she's gotten picked up a lot. She hasn't sold for me, but she brought a lot of attention. So
Yeah.
you got to give her some bonus points for that. And then Buttercup the Cow from Daisy Loops Co., which I saw that one. That is a really cute, lovey style cow. Daisy Loops Co. is like a newer pattern designer, and she's had a lot of cute patterns this year. I got her Daisy Dog pattern, which is very cute and floppy. I made it for a custom order. So my favorite pattern. So I did submit. I love Christina's Teeny Zoo Crew. I also did a lot of her Halloween baby patterns, which I think translate really well for other patterns because a lot of them are kind of like that doll style. But I love the Teeny Zoo Crew. I think the time that they take to make and the size that they are perfect for markets. It is a very good mid-level make. Stevie Chicks I had a lot of in my little kind of farmhouse. Again, a different style chicken. Puddles the pig also sold well for me. I had him both as a book buddy and in my little house. I can't think of the word.
The chicken
So a lot of those,
coop.
yeah, my little chicken coop. And then, so a lot of those, I think that they're just such a great size. And then again, patterns that came out later this year, just from Neutral Knots, her mini patterns, the mini Junior Bear, mini Moose, both sold really well for me. Belle the Bunny. I didn't get to make the mini pig yet, but the mini cow also sold really well for me. Oh my gosh, Donna, I'm so glad that Book Buddies have sold well. I love making them. I think they're so fun to pair up together. Like just like coming up with like fun books and fun animals to go together. I've also sold a lot of Jess's Junior Bears. I just think they're so classic. And we talked about Big Bear that's coming out soon. I think he's going to be so cute. And I also, yes, Big Bears. So I love Jess's patterns because I think they are really classic, but at the same time, very unique. And I just think that attracts people. She also has a lot of, And Magda, you've talked about this, how woodland characters do really well. Animals do really well for you. Both woodland and farm animals do well for me because I'm both by mountains, but I'm also in a farm town. So her big moose does really well for me. I just bought Riggs the raccoon because I was influenced by you, Magda. That's like one of her few patterns that like I didn't have.
And I loved making him. And then he sold really fast on my Etsy, and he was not a cheap plushie. And then, and the person put an awesome review, which was great. So it was like, check, check, check.
Yeah, and I love the grays that you use. So I'm gonna have to
Do
get
it.
a little extra influence on there.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one from Jess that I really love this year was Dutch the Dragon. I just
I
think
need to make
it's such a unique dragon. I loved his legs. I loved his wings. I made 3. And yeah, I see I
I
see what
want
Jess
that
is
duck.
um, and I sold all 3, and it was not a cheap item. I had them at one event, none of them sold, and then I had them at the next event, 2 sold, and then at my last event, it was the last one I had was the first thing to sell. And yes, I need to make Jess write up Drew the Duck. I'm gonna like send her this so she sees it. He sold at my last market. He's so cute and so unique. He's adorable, so I'll send her that request. And she also teased a really cute mini fox pattern that she has coming out. Every time she's put up in her like broadcast channel what she should make next, I keep saying fox, 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 fox. And finally the fox is coming. So I'm excited for that. Yeah. I also another pattern that is a good market make that I've really enjoyed this year is Diddy Dex, the dragon from Handmade by Jody. He's really cute. A lot of people have talked about how right now you have to you sew all 4 legs on, but it's really easy to figure out how to crochet them in after you make it once. So it makes it a lot more simple, but those have sold well for me. They're relatively quick, and I think because of his length, you can really sell him for a good price point.
Love that.
Oh, that's cool, Darlene. I asked Darlene which axolotl pattern she used. That
Ooh.
was from the Red Heart Yarn Inspirations website. I'll have to check that out.
Lots of patterns over at the Yarn Inspirations website.
Yeah, I know. I think I love supporting pattern designers, and I love so many patterns, but there's also so many great free resources too.
Yeah.
So I think that's like a great tip as well. Like if you're looking to get into markets and like the price point maybe scares you, you can totally kind of budget things out by looking for, some more free patterns and stuff like that. So you don't feel like you have to invest a ton of patterns, especially if you're newer into crochet. There's so many great free resources too.
I agree. And as we segue into like our next topic, I want to take one of the questions from Instagram. So before we got on here, I asked you guys what questions y'all have. And we're Jules over at Visible Strings asked us for our goals, which I think we'll get into towards the end of the video. But we can go with Jocelyn's questions because she's here from Not My First Rodeo. And let's go with this question for Shannon. What's your favorite thing to make for markets that's not necessarily the best selling? Your favorite thing, but maybe hasn't been the best selling?
Oh, that's a good question. And I'm like, I really hope that sells so I can make more. You know what? It's also going to be a neutral knots pattern. Miles the monkey, I had 3 and I've sold 2 out of the 3. It is a more higher price item because he's big. I love making him. And I actually think the reason why he didn't sell at first is because of how I had him displayed. So my last couple markets, I have crates that stack on top of each other. And you know how crates have the handle? I hung him out of the handle by one of his arms, and then they started selling. So that was at my like 3rd to last market, I think. And I sold one at that market. I sold one at the next market that I did that at. And then he just didn't happen to sell at my very last market. So I think sometimes when things don't sell, like try playing around with how they display can really help. So that's one of them. And I'll think on it some more. Do you have something?
Well, I wanted to expand on, I think that's another great tip for markets is as you have things sell, continue to move things around during your booth. In my last market, which was 3 hours, and things were selling like crazy, but then I noticed other things weren't getting attention. The few seconds I had, I would run out and move things around, and it really helped sell things. So I think we need to be mindful of not like overcrowding our booth and keeping things like at eye level, and also, creating that vertical interest so people can see things and they'll sell better. And sometimes you think, oh, people will be able to see things even though they're up here. And when I move things around more, it helped things sell. So that's something I'm going to be like working with in 2026 with my market setup, is figuring out how to expand that in a different way. So things are getting the appropriate attention they need and stuff is not overcrowded like on the table. The
Yeah.
problem with my December market was it was a 6 by 8 space, so I had one 6 foot table and then my bamboo stand where my little like hanging thing broke, so I was only using the shelves and then my folding stand. But we were able to make it work, but I did notice as I moved things around, then other things started to get interest in. But one of my favorite things to make, like I shared earlier, are bigger items, and those are at a higher price point, so they might not be the best selling. So I loved making the mushroom pillow by Eden Crochets. I got to test that for her, and it's like she has various mushrooms and even like an acorn house. And they're all free through I think it's like Wool Warehouse's website. But I loved making it. It gets a ton of attention, but no one's bought it yet. I loved making the Whimsy Bunny by Raven and Jade. I did that chocolate bunny with the long ears and then the olive overalls. No attention yet, and I love her. So there are those things that we make that may not necessarily be the best selling. Shannon, are you still there? You froze. Oop. Okay, we're gonna hope Shannon comes back. There she is. Woo! Okay.
That was weird.
I think it's your windy weather.
I know the weather up here is not good. So sorry, guys, but I'm here.
I'm glad you're here. If not, we were going to keep it rolling and I was going to figure out how to contact you. Then other question that Jocelyn had was, what's the highest you've priced an item?
Thank you for saying my frozen face was cute. I was like, what's happening? The highest I priced an item was, so a standalone item was $50, and that was my Drew the Duck. I didn't time myself for him because I was pre-testing him for Jess. I probably would price him for more in the future, but like I just had to give him a price. And then for a book buddy, it was $55. And I sell the books for like the MSRP are pretty close to it for a price that makes sense. Like I'm not going to sell something for $57, like, something like really random. I made a junior bear in double-stranded little bunny yarn in white. I made the polar bear to go with the On the Night You Were Born book with the two polar bears on the front. That sold at my last market for $55. And I think those were probably my two highest price. I also sold my Dutch dragons. Those I priced for $45. One of my resolutions and goals for next year is to increase my pricing. And I think I always try to price fairly because I think that's important for us as makers. We don't want to undercut other people that are at a market, whether they're crocheting or not. Like our time is valuable. And when I first did my pricing, like I was much newer to crochet. Like I just started selling in January, and now I feel I'm more experienced. I know my skills are better. So I kind of wanted to stay a little consistent with how I was pricing things this year, but into next year, I'm going to be paying myself a little bit more per hour because that's kind of how I do it. And I think that comes with, skill and materials and stuff like that. So I will say that, like, I feel like I priced myself a little bit lower this year because I considered myself newer and I knew I wasn't quote unquote perfect. We're never perfect, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was it for me. And Nancy's asking if I sell a book along with the plushie. So I say that the plushie comes with the book. So yes, I sell them together. I do not typically separate them because that's a question I get as well. I will sometimes separate them if I have a repeat customer asking to separate them, or if it's towards the end of my market and it hasn't sold yet. So if there's like an hour, 45 minutes left in my market and someone asks to separate it, I will do that. Otherwise, I'll just tell them to place a custom order with me for that item because it is just a better value for me to sell them together. They also draw people into my booth, so they have such a value overall. So yeah, that is mine. What is you had a high price item sell
I
at that
did.
high school event, I remember.
You
Yeah.
remember? Oh, this guy, she loves me. She really loves me. She remembers. Yes. So my highest price item that has sold was my OG Whimsy Folk from Raven and Jade. So I've made the mini one, and that sold at my first market, and that one sold for like 40 some dollars, which again, like same with Shannon, I'm going to work on pricing myself better this year. I got to connect with Aurora from Strands of Sunshine over on Instagram through a pattern test, and she has created a calculator tool because she is like an Excel whiz, which I was like, girl, love you for that. And she gave it to me with me giving feedback to her, so it's like I got to test it for her. She'll be releasing that I think sometime in this year. But she broke it down into um like paying yourself per hour times, and you can and she has other like columns to include like your material costs, including like a retail cost, so then marking it up like a couple percentage higher, things of that. So I want to utilize this tool that I have available to me to start pricing accordingly, and that means timing myself, because I never time myself for making things, because it's just like I get up, I go do other things, I get distracted. But this year in 2026, one of my goals is to time myself so that I can pay myself an hourly rate, and then everything is more fairly priced across my inventory. But my highest price item that has sold was the OG Whimsy Folk, which is the larger one, and I sold that for $70. So that was amazing. A mom saw it and she fell in love with it, and she had to have it, and she paid it, and I was just like so grateful. That one had a lot of yarn, a lot of stuffing, a lot of work. But do I think that that was priced? I try to price things, like Shannon shared, like fairly. There's a reason why my like bitty itty basils, I sell them for 25 because they come out so small for me, because I size down my hook. But I really need to time myself to see if that is a fair price for me, because I have a feeling it might not be, and it needs to be a little higher. So I'll also be playing with, because currently I try to pay myself about $15 an hour at minimum. And so I estimate things with size and time accordingly. But if I notice that like smaller items are, or where was I going with that thought? Sorry, my thought escaped me. But um, if I notice that things are like smaller, but they're taking like a certain amount of time, or they take a certain amount of yarn, I might adjust my hourly rate accordingly. But yes, my highest price item that has sold, long story long, was $70, the OG Whimsy Folk, which was a big thing.
Well, and to your point, like sometimes there's something where you're like, oh, that took me an hour.
Mm-hmm.
That's like not fair to price it to
Yep.
for a customer or
Yep.
whatever. So like I mean, you do play that game with it too. I've had several people come up to me at markets that are fellow crocheters and compliment me on my pricing and say, you price yourself really fairly. Like, that's so great. I really appreciate that. I've been at markets where people haven't, and it just kind of like, in a way, like downplays our craft and our skill. I've also had people that shopped at my booth that was higher priced because they just assumed it was better
Mm-hmm.
quality than the person that was pricing lower for something. So, I think when people are shopping handmade and they're like handmade people, they're willing to pay that. Sometimes people are looking for the cheap thing, and great, people shop for cheaper clothes and that's
Yep.
their budget range and that's what it is, but you kind of have to know what your customer is.
Yeah,
Okay.
we need to answer this question in the chat. But I was gonna say, Shannon, before you do, I wanted to add on with the pricing of ourselves. We also need to keep in mind pattern costs, yarn costs. If you're not weighing your yarn and including that in there, things for your display, your tags, your safety pins, your tissue paper, your bags. So I think that we can if we're not, because I'm not going to weigh my yarn. I don't have the time and capacity to be able to do that. But I think that you can start kind of adding that, maybe if you want to only pay yourself, say, for example, $15 an hour, but then you can add yourself that little like retail fee of that 1 or 2% to help you cover those other costs. So that was just something that came about, Shannon, when you were sharing, that I think is something we need to give ourselves like credit and room for.
Yeah, and I think that goes into this really great question from Darlene, which is crocheting takes time, right? And going to markets takes time. And like for me, when I go to a market, that means my husband is solo parenting with my kids, right? And you know, it's not like he's not babysitting our kids, like he's the
Yeah.
dad. Like
Yeah.
I do it for him too, but like I also think it's time away from my family. It could be time
Mm-hmm.
away from your spouse. It could be time away from doing whatever, your laundry. My laundry really suffered this holiday season because of all the crocheting I had to do.
Yep.
Um, but I will say, like, at least for me, like my spouse is very supportive of it. I'm very lucky about that. He made me this beautiful yarn storage thing.
Love
I
that.
told him he needed a hobby. He took up woodworking, and I have kept him busy. I'm his best customer. So I think he's really supportive, but I do always think of, okay, like I'm doing this. I know it's taking a lot of time. I communicate and talk to him about it. While my laundry suffered, none of us went without underwear or anything, right? Like I was a little behind on things, but we all had clothes to wear. I wasn't on top of it as much as I normally am, but making sure that I get the things done that I need to get done. And also like we both work, and I know you're recently back into the workforce too, which takes a lot of time in
Mm-hmm.
addition to just working, because you're learning a whole new role, and making sure that it's not interfering with that either, like staying up too late and being really tired for work the
Mm-hmm.
next day. So it's all about that balance. But all this to say, I'm very grateful and lucky. I have a very supportive partner. But I also think whether you have a partner or a friend or a parent that helps you or whatever it is, just like communicating is the most important part, especially like having those helps at the shows, or maybe they have to let out your dog or like
Yep.
whatever it might be. But you go
Yeah.
ahead too.
No, 100% in the same vein. Like I think I've shared this on my channel before. My husband is my biggest cheerleader, and I'm so grateful for him. He was one of the people, like he was a big force in me starting Rose and Dove and starting my Etsy and going to markets, because he was like, "You are so talented and you can sell this, and you deserve to have that feeling of wow, like I'm putting a product out and people are receiving it." He is such a champion for me. I tell him he is my CFO, which was Chief Financial Officer, because he was like the biggest investor in Rose and Dove, paying for everything, right? Before I made profit. And he's also my CSO when we do markets, which is my Chief Setup Officer. And so he has lots of titles in Rose and Dove to honor him, but I'm so grateful for him. My mom is also my other biggest cheerleader when we go to markets, my husband and I, because I don't go to markets by myself, because it really is a two-person job. If you like, I admire Shannon for doing it like as a one-person job, because I just think like all the activity, all the setup, interacting with customers, everything is a two-person job. um but my mom will then watch our dogs, because our dogs are used to having people with them all the time, and she'll take them out and make sure they're fed and help me with things over here, so I'm able to crochet and edit videos and come on a live and things like that. But having my mom, who lives with us, help me out too, makes gives me the time and ability and capacity to be able to do this. Because like our businesses, we are, it's like a group effort. It takes a village to raise children. I think it takes a village to run a small business, and it's also all of you guys too. All of your support and commenting, sharing, liking, all of this helps make it all possible. So yes, very, very grateful for my husband. And I love what Christina is putting in the chat about with timing and pricing our stuff. Our words are so important. One of a kind, handmade heirloom. I know we both use this, Shannon, in our branding, because that is what it is. And that also plays a role for me in like the patterns I select. My style is different than other people's styles that I see, where they do, again, no shade on the loaf cat, right? But it's like that, like loaf cats, or just like quirky, cartoony, or just like different types of plushies, I don't feel fits in that category for me of heirloom, one of a kind, things like that. So that also plays a role in the patterns that I pick too. And so, yes, we want to cultivate that elevated status and air around our business. And so, yes, using those words are so important.
Yeah, I was gonna mention, I forget her YouTube name, and I'll put it in the description of this once it posts, but Allie on here. So she does a lot more whimsical patterns, but she talks about this a lot, how she doesn't like making small things. Like it like pains her to make small things. And so she's been at markets where people are really looking for small things. And I think that's a tip that comes into selecting markets. I don't really sign up for craft shows. I
Mhm.
look, the places I've been most successful are events that are artisan markets or they have local artisans and
Mhm.
they're advertised as that. I've had some that also are just like vendors and more general, but and they've been okay, but where I've been the most successful is where it has been advertised as an artisan market. I'm not saying only do ones that have that in the title, but when people are going to craft shows, they might not be as expecting that heirloom keepsake value. And that also sometimes helps me decide on what I'm going to prep. Like I might not prep as many of those bigger items and stuff. But yes, I think, you know, that and pricing is hard. Chelsea mentioned this too.
Mhm.
You feel like you price too high and too low. I think that's where like kind of also talking to like fellow makers is really
Makes a
helpful.
difference.
Yeah, there are, like you said, those tools where you can calculate it and kind of take that and do with it what you will. I love the idea of putting how much time it takes on the tag. I think that that's really wonderful.
Christina's tag
Um,
has that there. I mean, Chelsea from Crocheting Pastor highlighted that, but I have that tag too. And that's another reason why I selected Christina's template was because she already had it built in there to put the time that it took, or you can put how many balls of yarn it took, things like that.
Yeah, and I actually, had an event and have somebody local to me that I don't know this for 100% factual, but based off of the things that the person makes and how much they sell them for, I can't imagine that they are handmade.
Yeah.
I've had people in the community and my friends not even see this person at the same markets, but I've said, "Have you seen that person? Are those
Mhm.
handmade?" And it's like if they can't go up to that person and ask those questions and talk about it, and that's one of the things I also do when I'm talking to people. I don't necessarily say that like how long something takes me or that unless they ask, but I say like everything's made with super soft yarn,
Mhm.
like this, that, and the other. And I kind of try to engage with them again,
Mhm.
introverted extrovert, like it takes yes, Detective Shannon is on it, Christina. But like it takes a lot of effort for me to like be out there with that. But I think like when people walk into your booth, hi, let me know if you have any questions. Everything's made
Mhm.
with super soft yarn. I personally embroider all of my eyes. So I always say all the eyes are hand embroidered, you know, blah, 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 blah. And I think offering out that information, whatever it might be about your products, invites people in to have that conversation with you, or it just stops there and that's fine. But you're giving them some more detail about what makes what you make unique in just a
Yes.
couple of words.
Yeah, people will commonly ask, like, which I thought people would already like assume, but they ask like, "Oh, do you make these?" And so it's like, "Yes, like I make everything stitch by stitch. Everything is handmade by me." My husband, when he's with me, he's like, "Oh yeah, she makes everything. Like I literally watch her all the time, blah blah blah." But another thing I was gonna share in that vein, Shannon, was invite people to touch your items if you're comfortable with it. I always tell people like, no, because they sometimes will hesitate like not to, and I'm like, no, touch it, feel it, everything's so soft. I loved making this. I'll share like something about my experience when I was making it or why I liked making it. And when people have things in their hands, they're more likely to buy things. That was a tip I heard from Katie over at the Celestial Homebody, is to invite people to touch and grab things because it's harder for them to then put it back and not buy it. And I've had several experiences throughout my markets this year where that was kind of like the hook, line, and sinker to get them to pull the trigger on that purchase.
Yes, okay, and Nicole just mentioned this crocheting at your markets. I
Yeah.
always bring stuff to crochet. I try to pick stuff that's simple or that I know really well. I always bring stuff to make hatching animals because those always sell and they're easy to make. But people love watching you crochet. Um, I love when people point it out to their little kids and they're like, look, she's making it right now. And little kids get so interested in it too. But it's so good to just have something you can work on. Sometimes I'm doing the same row a couple of times because I'm stopping and talking with people, but it shows I made this.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I put my time into.
Love that. So, as we wrap up our time, Shannon, because I'm like, oh my gosh, how did this time go by so fast? And we get into our goals, because I know we both wanted to share our goals for 2026. I did want to answer Lil Ray Crochet's question from Instagram, which was, where's the best places to get good displays for lovies? So, I'll let you go first on that one.
So some of the best displays that I've gotten are from yard sales, like garage sales and stuff like that. It took me a long time to kind of build up that stock and stuff. But one of my folding stands is from a garage sale. Some of my like really unique display pieces, like one I have for this summer, is this like boat that has like a couple of shelves in it. So I love going to yard sales to look for things, baskets, other things like that. Michael's on sale, 60% off or more. I've gotten really great things there. My newest folding book buddy stand, it was a little bit on the pricier side, but it was from TJ Maxx. Display items from TJ Maxx a lot of times are on sale. I was like, is this for sale? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, I'm really sorry to make you guys take all of your product off of here, but I'm going to buy this. So it was like $60, but I could totally see myself using it in my house, at another time or when it doesn't suit me for markets and stuff like that. Also make your husband get into woodworking because that's what I did. But a lot of the things that you can make, like, I think if you have some like basic things like the house from Oka Marlowe, she has the patterns for that on her blog. And I don't know, like, I feel like if you want to venture to do it, you can. But yeah, yard sales and sales. I do not pay full price for things. I'm always hunting. And the dollar store has really good baskets and stuff too. One thing I started doing in my wooden crates is I've gotten the clear bins from the dollar store, and I use that to be able to prop my stuff more forward in my bins, but still have them in the bins and sitting up, because I felt like sometimes things were sitting too far back to be able to sit forward. So I get a plastic bin and put it behind it so it sits forward and it's not taking away from the display.
Love that.
How about you?
I was thinking about my display. And so the crates are from Michael's, and those I do want to get more of. Baskets I've gotten from the thrift store, Goodwill. We have a local thrift store here, and whenever I see that really nice baskets, that's where I'll get them. My folding shelf from that I use for my sorry. I was like, oh my gosh, the clickety clack was distracting me from my mystery bags. You're okay. It's late. From my mystery bags that I got on a Facebook Marketplace. So scroll your local Facebook Marketplace, same as yard sales, to find those items like those wooden stands and shelves and things like that. The next thing I want to invest in is either, because I've asked my husband multiple times, but he has yet to make it because he says he needs a different type of saw, which are those arch wooden displays, like with the pegs and stuff, like the Awestruck Crochet has. I've asked him to make it like 3 times. He has yet to make it because he says he needs a different type of saw. So I think I might want to look into like those dividers, those wooden dividers, which you can find on Amazon, and then get those pegs to be able to display things like that. I really love that look. And when I've hung up my lovies before, my little wooden like bar thing broke off my plant stand, I think that really draws people in. I am going to lean away from using that wooden plant stand because things just don't sit up on there as nice. I've seen, whose video was it recently? Wilder and Jean Co., her newest video, she puts baskets on the wooden plant stand, and like that creates a better display. So that might be a way I utilize it, but I think I'm going to lean away from that wooden plant stand and try to invest in that folding wooden divider and then have things hang that way.
And on the hanging thing, if you do outdoor markets, I had hanging plants for a while and I was trying to like find different ways to hang them. I hung them low on the side of my tent towards the front, that helped them sell. So sometimes you can use that kind of bar on your tent to hang some things. You want to still hang them low so they come at eye level, and obviously not at the front of your booth where someone's going to walk into it. But I've used those sides to hang some stuff, and it's been really helpful for things that sell. And that reminds me of one quick thing I want to say, Magda. You mentioned where people say like, "Oh, I don't have anyone to buy plushies for." Hanging plants. I've had people buy them to hang in their nursery. I've had people buy to hang them because they're like a counselor and they like hang it in their office. I've had teachers buy to hang them in their classroom because it's greenery they don't have to take care of. So I think I love having hanging plants as like I call them the plant you can't kill.
Yes.
And they market to everybody because I've had people buy it for like a nursery all the way to like teachers and classrooms and counselors and stuff like that.
I
So
love that.
just an
Yes. And
aside.
the chickens, that was my trick with the Mabel chickens. I marketed them as emotional support chickens as people were coming in and out of my booth in December. And then like 5 of them sold, which was really amazing.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. Just a quick spin on things too can
Mm-hmm.
sometimes make people be like feel inspired themselves, to be like, that's so cute. That's going to work for this need. So
Yeah.
yeah.
All
All right.
right.
Well, I know we've gone super long, which is great because you all have been so amazing in the chat. I love all the stuff
Yes.
that you're saying. But I know we wanted to kind of share some of our goals, and you all please feel free to drop the goals that you have for yourself coming up into the
Yeah.
new year, whether it's with markets, selling on Etsy, crocheting through your pattern stash. I know
Yeah.
that's one of mine. Please share your goals, but do you want to start, Magda, with yours?
Okay, sure. And I also would like for you guys to comment, if possible, what you would like our next live stream topic to be.
Mm.
Because you already saw me propose to Shannon and she already said yes. So we need to start scheduling our next live stream. So let us know a topic that you would love for us to expand on, because I love just sharing this knowledge and it just helps the whole community and I just love it. So goals for me for 2026. I spent some time being intentional in writing mine. I'll give like top 5 because I wrote more than 5 and I know we're running out of time. So top 5 would be upload all my inventory to Etsy after I make it, instead of doing big drops, which then I put off because I don't have time and I need to get all these pictures. So in that goal is I need to take photos and video of everything as I make it and measure, because I'm not good at measuring too, and then create an Etsy listing after it's made, so that way things are up and running and selling. So that's a big goal of mine. In addition to that, Etsy, in the topic of Etsy, is creating custom orders, like custom order listings. So I want to pick maybe like 5 patterns that then I'll go and like have like the selection of the yarn that people can do and do custom listings, because that's currently something I don't offer on my Etsy. The third one is to sell in a boutique. I want to sell in a in-person store. I know Shannon's already like totally accomplished that in different ways, but that is a big goal for mine, and I have the boutique in mind. I just need to, that's something that I'm going to work on next week, and you guys will see in my upcoming vlog, is like tackling all these different things to get it set up for the new year. So I need to reach out to them and send them an email. The fourth one is to time myself for every market as for every make, as I shared earlier, and then price myself more accordingly. And then the fifth one is to be more mindful and intentional with my inventory. I want to start curating a like set vibe with like staple patterns and a set look for my boutique. I would need to call it a boutique. It is what it is, right? And that includes not buying more patterns. So I am a total impulse pattern buyer. It is another hobby in this crochet hobby, right? We have yarn buying, pattern buying, making, all the things, right? And so I want to go through my patterns, start using up my pattern stash, curating my inventory in that way, and then only add things when they're very mindful and very purposeful. So those would be like some top 5 goals for me for 2025.
Well, I'm going to throw another one in there for you, which is Magda is so close to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So if you are not already subscribed to her channel, go over and subscribe to her. She makes the best videos. I really enjoy watching them. I was a video watcher of Magda's before we became friends even. So make sure you go over there. She's so close. I think you're at like 9, I don't know, like 940 or something close to that.
Yeah,
So
we're
Yeah,
close. We're close. So if you
you're
already subscribed and
close.
if you have time to like hit the share button, I would totally appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, yeah. Oh, yay, Mel subscribed today. And just for like
Yay.
those that like aren't like YouTubers, you might be like, why is 1,000 so important? It's like such a milestone for YouTube.
Mhm.
In a lot of ways, you also get monetized and you get like some
Yes.
other perks through YouTube that you can, use for your videos and stuff. And
Mhm.
1,000 is just such a big number. To think that 1,000 of you are interested
Crazy.
in what we have to say is crazy. So hi, Stitches Knots More. Thank you so much for joining. She also has a
Bye.
channel on YouTube. I need to watch her latest video. I'm so behind on videos because of what crochet whatever, where people are doing videos every
Vlogmas.
day.
Mhm.
Yes, Vlogmas. Thank you. So I'm so behind on that. Okay, so go subscribe to Magda's channel. Let's get her to 1,000. It's gonna happen so soon. So my goals for the year, one is Etsy. I want to have like kind of like a set items on Etsy. I launched my Etsy on my birthday this year in June and then really fell off the radar. I had a lot going on with my markets, but I want to have like set items that I always have on there as like made to order. And then Magda, to your point, like when I have items that I make that I really love, posting those and having listings for those as well. So Etsy is a big one for me. My next goal is also around my pricing and to kind of recalculate and figure out what my pricing is going to be for next year. And I know that my worth is much higher because my skills, right? Because as we all crochet, our skills grow. And I know that I am there as a maker. So that is another goal of mine. And I would say my last goal on that top three is that I never dreamt of or imagined that this would become a small business for me. And that has taken on a little bit of a greater meaning because I reduced my hours at work this year to be able to spend more time with my kids, pick up my preschooler from preschool myself. They're only little once, and you only have this much time with them once. So I'm hoping that my small business will be able to make up the reduction in salary that I also took, because this is also a hobby of mine. I do it at night. I do it in the morning. I do it when my kids are napping. So I'm hoping I can help fill the time and use content creation and sharing with you all as a way to continue to grow my small business and really use it to help support my family. And I could have never dreamed that I would be in this place like 1 year after starting to sell, right? Like it's just so crazy. Like yeah, same for you, Magda. Like you just started getting into plushies within this last year, and it's just, yeah, it's just so great. So I think those are my top three goals for the year. I have a lot of other like smaller sub goals for myself when it comes to posting and consistency and stuff like that, which I enjoy doing. So, oh yay, Stitches
Thank
Not More. Thank you for
you.
subscribing to Magda. And Chelsea, I think you need to tell us what pattern you bought during the live and how you got hashtag influenced by us.
Yes.
But yeah, those I think are my goals. And I think it was Donna who shared uploading her stuff to Square. That needs to go hand in hand with my Etsy, because I
Yeah.
always dread uploading things to Square. And then I think I did it and then I didn't. And then someone goes to buy something and it's not in there and it's so awkward. And I have to like add it really quick.
Yeah.
And yeah. So and that's gonna go hand in hand with Etsy. Posting things on Etsy and uploading it to my Square at the same time and not waiting until the very last minute.
Yes, super important. It sounds like organization is a big theme for 2026 for the both
Oh
of us.
yeah.
Like streamlining the business, moving from that like hobby to more of that small business like mindset.
Yeah. Ooh, Christina said she's freehanding a project and it might be a 2026 pattern release. I
Ooh.
love it. Darlene, Magda's YouTube, hold on, I'll put it up. It's
Yeah.
Rose and Dove YT is
Yes.
her YouTube channel. She is also should be tagged in the description of this live when it goes up. So you can easily find her on there. So
Thank you so much, Darlene.
Yeah, thanks guys. And yeah, I saw a couple of ideas for our next YouTube live, but as you think of them, let us know, leave
Yes.
comments on our videos or whatever it is, send us messages. Ooh, stitches
Tapestry
not
is so
more. It's
beautiful. Mm-hmm.
tapestry. I want to try tapestry. That might
Mm-hmm.
need to be a goal. I'm not a big flat crocheter, and I want to do more of flat crochet stuff. So yeah, let us know what you want to hear for our next live. I think we're going to plan to do this like once a month. It's been going
Yes,
pretty
I
good
think
on the
once a month,
cadence.
that's what I was thinking too. I'm glad you're thinking once a month we can do this. And it seems like we're doing it in the second half of the month, like the
Yeah.
last two. So we'll see if that still works for both of us, and then we'll be able to get those scheduled. But we need topics, guys. So send us all the ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think with that, I think we went almost like double the amount of time we planned. So thank you guys so
Yes,
much for hanging
thank
out with
you.
us.
Thank you guys.
I had so much fun. This like totally like fills my cup. It's
It
also
does.
like the best like introverted, extroverted thing to do because like I'm home, I'm in my comfies, I'm in my
Mm-hmm.
house, and we get to hang out and chat together and with you all. We love it so much. So thank you guys so much for being here, and keep an eye out for the next announcement for our next live together.
Yes. Bye, guys. Everyone have a blessed evening.
Bye.